if anybody's actually here.
Okay, well, we're live.
There we go. We need a countdown timer. See when we're actually on this thing or not.
So we are introducing Adam Fernandez, who I keep calling Alex in all the communication, but
Nice
I
job.
see how many times I do it today. Alex,
Jeez,
We're off to a good start.
you just said it, man.
I know. This is how it's going to go tonight. We're waiting for people to populate here. So, do you want to show us your books?
Yeah, so we have book number 1, Vermilion Flames here, and then Ash and Dawn, which is the direct sequel to it.
Okay. And I just told you backstage that when I posted this on, or retweeted Rose tweet, I got a comment from Chris Ritchie saying that you're a great dude and your books rock. He can't wait. So that is the standard we want you to live up to tonight.
I'm gonna try my best.
Okay. I mean, you run for fun, so you're already suspect. But
Hey, nothing matter with running for fun, man. That's why people do.
I'm a natural sprinter.
To the fridge.
Yeah.
That's what I'm down to now. My knees won't let me do anything else.
So
okay. So we did want to touch on really quick, and Adam said he's going to stay out of this one. He's welcome to join in to just a couple of minute aside, and probably the most serious aside we've ever had on this show, Mike.
Yeah. Or
first. Adam is right now has a book in Spacebo, so you can understand why he just wants to kind of lay low on this one for a bit. But if you haven't heard or seen all the drama around Spacebo, and I haven't seen it all, there's plenty of questions left. So this is what happens when you don't answer questions. You get people like me going off half information. But apparently someone was kicked out of the competition the day after they announced rules, or like ethics rules or whatever, and they kicked the person out for violating rules that didn't exist 48 hours previously. Is that the gist of it?
Yeah, and they never said what the rule was that he broke. He just said he's out.
Okay. So as a public affairs / communications guy, that's a huge fail on their part, right away, not being very clear and explicit as to, yeah, Tim, we're just for a couple of minutes, because I think it's an important thing that probably bears conversation, right? And just to change up the brand a little bit, Mike and I are going to do something serious for just a couple of minutes. No, don't run away. It's fine. But it's a really big fail on their part for screwing up the comms on that so badly and letting, everybody in the world, speculate on what the heck is actually going on, right? So big fail on the part of the people running the organization. Now, we don't know what he did, but there are the author, who we won't name. You can figure it out easily enough here. There are people who said the author did some stuff, right? And if he did those things, then absolutely he should probably have been kicked out, right? Depending on which things he did, right? Because there are different people who say different things. Some people say it was because of things he posted on his, social medias that had nothing to do with Spacebo. And if that's the reason, that's strike 2 against the people running it. But if it's the other reason, which is he was just being crass and rude and hurtful or whatever toward the people running the outfit and the judges, then that he absolutely should have been kicked out. Does this all make sense so far? Mike, jump in here, man.
So, yeah, and I mean, it got to a level stupid that is hard to even comprehend. Bo Kelly went on his own Discord yesterday to explain why his group pulled out, because some of his judges got actual death threats over this stupid competition where the winner gets a plastic ray gun.
Yeah, and that's not. I mean, I hope if that's true, I hope that somebody called the police on the people that made those threats, because there's just no place in that. And with that, we're done. There's plenty of blame to go around in that dumb fuckery. So
now, Adam, I want to disparage you Because you told us before we started that you not only run, but you run really long distance races, and that
On purpose.
this is not a body that does that, and I'm confused as to why you would do that for fun.
You know, I mean, that's a really good question. I'm not sure we have enough time to really unpack all of that.
It's the endorphins. It's the endorphins.
But you know what? Let me tell you, it's great for coming up with ideas for stories. You know, you have a lot of time out there. You're alone. You know, your mind's clear. You can really brainstorm a lot.
What's the longest run you've ever been on?
Longest races I've done are 50 milers.
50?
Yeah.
And how long does it take to run 50 miles?
Anywhere between like 9 and 12 hours, depending on the course. Yeah.
The most I've ever run at one time is about 15 and raced only like a half, like 13, right?
Yeah.
And I know from that
I'm not trying to get my hopes up.
that after about the first 10 minutes, right, you've pretty much exhausted all of your running thoughts. And after, you're just kind of looking for something to pass the time at that point.
Yeah.
So yeah, I imagine you find yourself coming up with lots of great ideas and plot points and things.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, definitely. I mean, for me, I think it's really like, I think if I had never really gotten into running the way that I did, especially like long distances, I don't know that I probably would have ever written a book. You know, it was really big for the, you know, getting the original ideas, especially because like at the time I was, you know, because, you know, you run a race, right? And it's however many hours, but, you know, you're spending, you know, way more hours training, right, week to week.
Right.
So I was getting through like tons of audiobooks, just like when I was plowing through at least like, you know, 1 to 2 books a week. So it was like, okay, you know, I'm getting all these ideas and stuff. And then, you know, kind of eventually I sort of like, I felt like I wasn't finding a lot of books I actually wanted to listen to anymore. So then I, you know, switched to listening to music instead for a while. And then in doing that, I started thinking, you know, I have all these other story ideas, and then, you know, it kind of just kept snowballing until eventually I was like, you know what, I'm going to try actually to write these down and see what happens.
So you can trace your authorship directly to running. You blame running.
I do. I blame it. It's 100% at fault. Yeah.
So we go back to this comment then. He's related to me, so.
What do you do for work, Adam?
I'm a environmental consultant. I'm a geologist technically.
You look at rocks.
I look at rocks. Yeah. Sort of. Well, not anymore. Now I just look at spreadsheets mostly. But.
Oh, I'm sorry. even more time to think about books.
Yeah. I mean, now I'm just a consultant, right? So it's like a huge percentage of that is all spreadsheets.
All right. Well, nice. You live up in the East Coast?
I do. I'm in New Jersey.
Okay.
The greatest state in the union. But
wow.
I'll say it. I'll put it out there. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I think you're going to get kickback on that, but
it's all right. I'm fine with it. If you live in New Jersey, you have to have thick skin. You know, you got to get kind of used to that sort of thing. You know, people are always jealous all the time.
Do you really think that's what it is?
I think that's what it is. I mean,
there's 2 football teams who go out of their way to call themselves New York, who are both in New Jersey.
You know, I mean, it's a marketing gimmick. That's all that is. You know, otherwise, you know, they know what's up. But yeah, no, I mean, it's you know, it's a great state. You have so much diversity, right? I mean, where else can you go from? You know, you have like beaches, mountains, farms, cities. You have it all.
And all of it in an Italian accent, right?
I mean, certain locations.
Actually, I think there are more. See, I was stationed in the Azores for 3 years, and they said there are more people from the Azores in New Jersey than there are actually in the Azores.
It's interesting. I haven't heard that before.
Anyway, what, Bo? Oh my God, Bo!
So much slander right out the gate.
You want to smack him down a peg?
No, we're good.
New York is not the best state. I'm from Vermont, and every time I drove into New York, I swear to God, the sun went in and clouds came out, just crossing the border into that damn state.
But you know what, though? New York doesn't have the best pizza anymore because all the best pizza makers in New York moved to New Jersey like a generation ago. So now New Jersey has all the best pizza.
You know what, though? It's weird because the worst pizza I ever had in my life was in Sicily. It's freaking horrible.
Especially if you're expecting like American style pizza, you know. I mean,
Yeah, it's just like really watery sauce and like that. It was gross.
There's nothing I can
Now
do.
I have to ask: is there really a difference between Vermont and upstate New York?
I
No,
think
one's
so.
Vermont,
Yeah, I
one's
mean,
New
the
York.
mountains, right? I mean, it depends where upstate we're talking about. If you're in the Adirondacks versus Vermont, it's basically the same. But
It really
Where's
kind of
Bias coming in hot. Nice.
Yep, you're right. You're gonna be taking it on the chin all night with that. Sorry.
listen, it's fine. I'm here for it.
So, Adam, let's at least talk about your books for a little bit before we
That'd
go
be
off on another tangent. What? Show us your first book again, and maybe even tell us who the main character is and what's going on. Maybe
Yeah.
we know about it.
Yeah, sure. So I mean, it's a science fiction story. Obviously, it follows two main characters, Kaya and Silas. Both are at two sort of very different points in their lives. One is sort of an old, salty military veteran, sort of an integral part of the established order. Kaya is the daughter of a noble family who sort of, is a bit more pie in the sky about how she expects the world to be. And then it's sort of watching as their two stories sort of weave together throughout the narrative as a whole, as they kind of combat, sort of the forces at work in their universe. Sort of a little bit dystopian. It's kind of it sort of like fills the space between something kind of like Red Rising and like Dune a little bit, kind of along those lines.
So this doesn't take place on Earth.
It does actually. So it does take place in our solar system. In this world, it's about roughly like 2,000 or so years in the future. The Earth has actually been destroyed in this universe, but all the other moons and planets that are able have been terraformed, and people are sort of living throughout the whole solar system. And there's one unified government that rules everything.
Do you get like ships and all that kind of thing?
Yeah. So I mean, so Silas, one of the main characters, is a fleet commander, and that's sort of the kind of a key part of the story. But in the universe too, the ruling government sort of anti-technology, and the world is kind of in a state of decay and has been for many generations at this point in the story. So it's sort of watching as the rebel groups are sort of growing in power and coming into their own, and how they're essentially trying to dismantle the government. And Silas on the one hand is trying to keep everything together, while Kaya is trying to sort of figure out her own life and ends up on the other side of the conflict.
Go ahead, Mike.
I have to ask, because my second book in my series, they're actually visiting all the gas giants. So where is the center of government in your solar system? I have to know.
So it's on Mars.
It's on Mars.
You had a perfect opportunity to put it in New Jersey, man.
I did, but the Earth is already destroyed. So I mean, I didn't have that choice.
Like you're saying it's destroyed. Nothing lives there.
Well, not that anybody officially knows of. Put it that way.
So
But
it's a dead planet.
it's a dead planet, yeah, and it's the only dead planet in the solar system. So,
Is the moon colonized?
the moon is colonized. So kind of like a big thing I wanted to go for in building out like the universe and the world is that there's a lot of so it's kind of like planetary feudalism a little bit, where although there's one overarching government, which is it's a theocracy also, which is a big part of the story. Every planet still sort of has its uniqueness to it, whether that be like a cultural differences or political differences, and its history and whatnot.
So the theocracy, do they worship Elon Musk?
They do not. No.
So I was going to say, you said the thing is on Mars and the moon is. There are probably still people there who think that nobody landed on the moon.
I mean, there probably is. I mean,
people on the outer planets or something. It's like, oh, we never landed on the moon. We just came straight here.
Or else they don't think that Earth really ever existed. It was always a dead planet.
I think that's definitely part of it too. I mean, it depends on the scale of your worldview, right? I mean, you know, if you grow up in a little space station somewhere, I mean, you might think that's really all there is.
Did you tackle the FTL issue with your ship travel?
No, just because there is no FTL travel, so
okay.
everything's fairly. What's that?
Did you make a conscious decision not to go down that road?
I did, yeah. So I will say, like, I mean, my books are not hard science fiction by any means. It's, you know, not quite science fantasy, but it's, you know, it's leaning more that direction. So it wasn't necessarily that I couldn't go that direction if I wanted to, but like, I just didn't think it really added anything to the story, and I felt like it, you know, I don't know, it wasn't really going to do anything for me, and I wanted travel to, especially given the decline in technology, right? Like, I wanted the world to feel more like what we're used to, but just in the future. So, you know, it feels like accessible. Like, it's not totally crazy different. And I figured there would have been a point,
I'll let you guys know,
given the way the government was handling things, that, you know, technology wouldn't have continued to develop indefinitely, right? Like, they would have reached a point where, you know, essentially the old government that had created everything in the first place was now gone. They weren't creating anything new, so everything, you know, all the ships they have are very antiquated. They're old. It's old technology. It's barely hanging together. And that's just sort of the vibe I was going for. So I thought, you know, FTL travel would have kind of ruined that a little bit.
So it's all humans who originated on Earth and have just kind of spread out. There's no people from other places.
I will say there's one character that has maybe more mysterious origins, but in general, it's a human story.
I remember. I forget which one.
Got to write questions down. Jump in there, Mike. While I'm thinking.
Okay, sure. What strategies do you use to market and promote your books?
Well, I mean, not. I don't know. I don't do a ton, honestly, with marketing. I mean, you know, like most people, I think I run ads, you know, Amazon, Facebook, kind of thing. But I don't have much of a street team or a newsletter or anything like that. So it's kind of a little bit.
Comic-Cons or no?
No, I haven't really. I've done a few like local, you know, kind of author book fair type of things, but no, nothing major. I mean, both of these books released last year, so haven't really kind of been at it for a long time.
Yeah, there's like Battle Pass.
You got some nice reviews here. Great sci-fi story. Can't wait for the next. That's very succinct. I love the book. Very succinct. But you know, you've got a bunch more that are paragraphs and paragraphs. I'm not going to read all this.
Yeah.
So, what your first book came out when?
It was February of last year.
Oh wow. Okay.
And then in October, I released Ash and Dawn.
In the third book, or the standalone, you said is coming out in this.
That should be in March.
Wow, 3 books in essentially a year.
Yeah, more or less. I mean, the standalone novel is a good bit shorter, but you know, still healthy size though. So 60-something thousand words.
So your first 2, is that like a complete duology, or will there be a third?
No, there's gonna be a third. I'm aiming hopefully for around the summertime with that one. I mean, I'm drafting it now, hoping to kind of have it ready by then.
Why the detour into the separate?
So, well, 2 reasons. One, I think it was a story that just really jumped out at me that I really wanted to tell, that I couldn't kind of get away from. And also it ties into the sort of larger epic of the universe, like the universe's story. And, you know, I didn't want I think I'm always a little conscious of not wanting to, you know, add too many point of view characters or have the main series get way too spread out. You know, because I think it can get confusing sometimes in those series where you have a really crazy number of characters you need to keep track of.
Yes.
So I thought separating out at least one storyline into a,
Whoosh.
because it works as a standalone story. So I thought it was
Yeah.
going to make sense.
Can it be read first, or does it need to be read?
Again, yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's honestly my intention at this point is for it to be the entry point for for the greater series.
Book 0.
Yeah, I think so. Because I mean, it technically takes place further along in the timeline, but honestly, I think it turned out really good. So I think it would be where I prefer people to start, because if they like that, I think they'll enjoy the rest of the story.
I hate that guy.
Is the main line, is it going to be a trilogy, or are you looking for more?
It looks like it's going to be 4 books. That's my target right now. And then what I want to do after that is break off. I want to stay in the universe because I think there's a lot of stories I want to tell there. But I want to break it off into like smaller trilogies then that are, related but stand on their own.
But you're going to stay within that same framework of.
I'd like to, yeah.
Yeah.
Because so one of the well, I don't want to give away too many spoilers, but it works. It works with the story.
All right. So this is a dumb question, but that shouldn't surprise anybody listening. Is Pluto a planet in your series?
Yes, technically yes. So the you'll see some references here and there to the 9 worlds, and I like to think that that includes Pluto.
And what about that other one? What do they call it? Planet X or whatever?
Small ginger.
The one like out in the Oort cloud out there.
Yeah, the one that they speculate could exist on this just enormous kind of orbit.
Yeah. I was just looking at that the other day. I forget the name of it, but yes. No, that I do want to play around with that planet though at some point. I have some ideas for it, but we'll see.
All right, nice.
So here's the most important question of the night for you. How many pages are your books?
You know what? Honestly, I don't know. Let's take a look.
Under 500.
It's definitely under 500. Yeah.
Okay.
We're at like three something.
Perfect. Excellent, sir. You know how to write a good book.
You know what? I'm not a big fan of like really giant books at this point in my life. I think. I mean, I've made it through all the Wheel of Time books, and but that was when I was a younger guy. I don't know that I could do it today.
We can quote that young lady from the memes from years ago. Ain't nobody got time for that. Are they available on audio?
They are. So
Just say it would be really ironic if they weren't. And
yeah, I mean, so yeah, I always intended to do audio from the very beginning, just because I'm a big audiobook guy. I think they're great. So book 1 is already available in audio. Book 2 has taken a little bit longer, but it is mostly done. I hope it should be out like in the next few weeks. So just waiting on that to get wrapped up. But the narrator, Eden, is really fantastic, actually. Like, just objectively, he did a fantastic job on the book. He's a great narrator. He's really good with his voice and character work. And I think he like hugely elevated the story. So if you do like audiobooks, I would highly recommend checking out the audio version.
How hard was it to find the voice of your book? Because I mean, I've listened to books before where I know that the narrator has ruined the story for me, and other ones where I know for a fact that if I was reading it, I would probably not have finished it. But the narrator was so compelling that I stayed with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit it right. That's the hardest thing. And like when I went through the process, it was actually like I had never done it before. It was pretty cool. I put out my call for auditions. I ended up getting I think it was like, I don't know, 150 auditions or something like that.
Wow.
For the book. I listened to all of them. Luckily, like I've listened to well over 250 audiobooks at this point. So I had I feel like I have a pretty good ear for what sounds pretty good. So a lot of them, immediately you can cut out like half of them right away because, either the audio quality is really bad or they're like way off for what you're going for. I think I narrowed down to like 4 or 5, and then Eden, the big thing is his character work. It's great, and his range. I mean, he can nail, because I wanted people from different planets and different social backgrounds to come across differently, just in the way they're speaking and their voices. And he nailed that just perfectly.
So, Adam, I have to ask you, because when I did my audiobook, I had one guy, he's like, please ignore the dog barking in the background. I'm like, why? Why?
Consider it ignored.
Yeah.
I'm like, done.
And then usually that's the person too that asks you, like, they keep following up too, like, hey, like, so did I get it? Like, is it good? Yeah.
Did you get that kind of thing with people?
I got a few. It wasn't too many, but there definitely were some of that.
Any point of that where you wish you would have given them a smaller sample to read?
No, I mean, look, my position was if somebody took the time to audition for the piece, like, I owed it to them to listen to all of it. And,
see, when I did it, I wanted West Country dialect in England because it all took place like around Bristol or Exeter, And I had one guy going, well, I can't do a British accent, so let me give you my Iowa accent instead. I'm like, what? I had 9 people. Fortunately, the one guy, when he started reading, I was like, oh my God, that is my main character. I mean, it's just the voice. I was like, that in my head.
Yeah. You know what? When you find it, like it clicks.
Yep.
So, it's not heaven, it's Iowa. It's from a movie, Mike, that line.
Oh, I'll trust you.
Field of Dreams?
Yeah, I've seen that one.
Oh my God.
If you build it, they will come, yeah.
Mark it down, folks. Mike's actually seen a movie. Good grief.
Not many, this century, but a few.
Did you try to put your book through the traditional thing, Adam, or did you just go straight to indie?
Yeah, I never tried. I mean, I think like for me, I don't know. I mean, it wasn't like a really complicated choice, really. Like I went into it, I have a full-time job, right? I was writing this for fun. The prospect of like waiting years to even find out if someone even likes the book for someone that's as impatient as me was like not an option. That would have driven me crazy. And, although like an advance would have been awesome, like it wasn't really what, I needed at the time. Like I just wanted to share my stories, put together the best product I absolutely could. And then, get it out there to people like ASAP.
She's gonna be better at it.
And that's just kind of what I went for. So I just never even tried.
And how has the selling experience been for you?
I mean, it's been fine. I don't know. In the past, like, I've done some e-commerce stuff before, so like that, the business side of it didn't really scare me off, so I was okay with that. I wouldn't say it's a money like maker per se, but it's a passion project. So
there you go.
I think obviously you can't go into this thinking you're going to do it for the money. It'll never work. Your books like won't turn out good. Nobody will be happy. You have to do it first and foremost because you just want to do it and you love writing and telling stories.
Yeah, any money needs to be looked at as a bonus, really.
100%. Yeah, I agree.
Have you tried it like going to Comic Cons or farmers markets or anything like that?
No, not yet. I think maybe in the future when I have maybe a couple more books out or something like that, a complete series. I feel like maybe that might be a fun idea. Try that out, but
I think three you'll be all right with 3
Reese's Pieces too.
Yeah, especially seeing how they're, one can be on its own and the other 2 are part of a series. I think you'll be all right with that.
You don't need a completed series, trust me. I may one day get around to completing one of my series.
You don't have a completed series yet, do you, Mike?
No, I do not.
Because you're always after that shiny new thing.
I have 4
shiny.
in fantasy and almost 2 out of 4 or 5 in sci-fi, and then I have another.
Oh my God!
But someday.
I'm trying to resist the urge to jump into writing a fantasy book. I mean, the ideas start jumping around, and then I'm like, ready to switch projects real fast, but.
But sci-fi and fantasy go to bed together like peanut butter and fluff, man. I mean, you can't,
Sure. There's some overlap for sure.
Yeah, I think a lot of the people who read fantasy will dip their toe occasionally into the sci-fi pool and vice versa. So,
just be warned when people like, well, if you don't feel like writing sci-fi, you can write your fantasy and you're still making progress. That's how they get you to start
to do what you're cutting out. To do what now?
when they tell you that if you don't feel like writing sci-fi, just write your fantasy because you're still propelling yourself
It's so
forward.
good.
That's how they get you to do multiple projects that you never finish. Trust me, I know.
When your boat goes down that first river, it's
That's what you get for listening to people.
Yeah, I try not to do that.
EL does, yeah. EL writes a little bit of everything. You got some sci-fi and some fantasy in there, and
yeah.
And hookers, lots of hookers.
what's up with that, EL? Anyway, okay. So tell us about the.
Oh,
You told us a little bit about your next book, but what about the third book in your quadrology?
Yeah.
So that one, I mean, is going to pick up where the where the story left off in the second book. I keep the timeline pretty tight, so it's you're fine following along. So in the second book, you gain a one more major point of view character, and so essentially the series as a whole is going to follow the sort of those three primary point of views. With dipping your toes in a little bit in some side characters, but it's mostly those main three stories, and it's going to leave you with a good, satisfying ending. But still, the war won't be done. There'll be much more left to go.
Is it a sci-fi book that leans heavily into like the mystery kind of genre, or the thriller, or?
I would say it goes a little bit more thriller. There's so like in Vermilion Flames, there's in this one, show you that cover. There is a bit of a murder mystery and sort of like figuring out, sort of who's who kind of thing, which people seem to have enjoyed based on the reviews. And then, with Ash and Dawn, which is book 2, you get quite a bit of sort of political intrigue, which is sort of a big part of the story. So I kind of try to include a little bit of everything, and you get your military sci-fi action and stuff, but
they had mastery.
Try to cover all the bases a little bit.
So is your big bad like an individual or the governmental level, or what kind of stakes are the protagonist dealing with?
Both portions.
So it's a little bit of both, right? So I mean, it's on the big scale, it's the government as the whole, but for each individual character, there's more immediate threats that become the sort of their antagonist, right? Given their different situations, because the scale of the conflict is huge, right?
Yeah.
And I wanted that to sort of be in the there's no lizard people. Not ruling it out, but as of now, there's no lizard people.
They're on Planet X.
Yeah, right. But I wanted the sort of like the scale had to make sense. So like, uncertain. You can't just sort of like bounce around between planets too easily, especially when space travel isn't necessarily fast. And in a lot of cases, the communications aren't great either, between planets. So it creates sort of some drama that way too, where like not everybody knows what's happening at all times. So everybody's sort of operating independently while trying to, either survive or get some sort of like, meet their similar goals and whatnot. So, and there's a lot of like family drama in it too, which is a part of it, sort of like Star Wars like family drama going on too. So you have a little bit of everything.
Do you know how Darth Vader knew what Luke was getting him for Christmas?
I don't know.
He felt his presence. I have an 11 o'clock show too. You might want to stick around.
No, I'm here for it.
Sorry. All right. And with this, speaking of Star Wars, do you like it?
Funny enough, I'm not a huge Star Wars fan. I mean, I don't have anything against it, but I basically just seen the movies. I don't really know too much else about it. I haven't read the books or anything.
That's probably just as well that you have real hobbies and friends.
Well, he runs a lot. Is that really a hobby? No.
Not really. It's a cry for help is what it is, I think.
I mean, you really want your alone time, because who else is going to run like next to you all that long for that distance?
Not many people. The list is very short.
To have cartilage in the knees again. Those were the days.
Thank you. You just kept saying
what are your sci-fi inspirations?
So it's interesting, actually. Like, I mean, I grew up reading a lot of fantasy novels, so I'd say almost like fantasy books are have been more of an inspiration than actual sci-fi books. But when I go into sci-fi, a lot of it is I like a lot of the sort of older, like 1950s sci-fi, sort of post-apocalyptic type of stories. Those are big. I mean, A Canticle for Leibowitz is fantastic. That's was definitely a big inspiration for me in the sci-fi realm.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. I mean, I would call it a classic. I think most people would agree it's a sci-fi classic, but that's a great book. And then a lot of shows too. I mean, I grew up watching Stargate and Battlestar Galactica and sort of those types of shows, which were more sci-fi inspiration. But when it came to books, I mean, a lot of what I was reading, especially like in high school and stuff, was mostly fantasy. The Wheel of Time series and like Sword of Truth and Raymond E. Feist's Rift War saga.
Oh, that's fantastic.
That was I mean, that actually is a big inspiration for kind of what I want to do with my universe too, where it's sort of generational, and you get stories told from all different points of time with a lot of different characters. You see them live their whole lives, sort of from youth to adulthood, and I don't know. I've always found that really compelling. I think it's very interesting, and I'd love to tell similar types of stories.
You ever read Garth Nix?
I have not. No.
Nobody's ever read Garth Nix.
Never heard
Somebody go read that book.
Is that the name of the book or the author?
That's the name of the author. The series is called, for Christ's sakes. Yeah, I forgot.
So, who does your covers?
So my covers are from Tom Edwards. He's in the UK. Tom Edwards Designs, I think, is his. If you Google it, it'll come up. But he's fantastic. He's been great. I mean, as long as he'll keep working with me, I'm going to keep going to him for my covers. So,
Garth Nix, Keys to the Kingdom. That's the name of the series.
yeah, no, I haven't read that one.
Haven't heard of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that shouldn't surprise you by now.
It really doesn't. Not at all. So yeah, you asked about the covers. Cool. So no Trek at all? You mentioned all these different sci-fi things and no Star Trek?
I mean, Stargate, which I thought was, I mean, Stargate's fantastic. But yeah, no, I wasn't really big into Star Trek either. I mean, I watched a little bit of it here and there, and like, was it Babylon 5 too? A little bit of that here and there. But,
oh, Mike, there you go. Somebody else has actually watched Babylon 5.
Yes.
But I just always thought Stargate was way better. So that was really the only one I watched like start to finish.
Stargate's one of those weird things where I think I actually prefer the TV show over the movie.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
the movie was okay.
Richard Dean Anderson really made the show like fantastic, I thought. So, I mean, if he wasn't in it, it probably wouldn't have been nearly as good.
EL's going to be contrarian.
I think you get all of them. But one of
I mean, you know what? They have different feels. They're not really the same thing.
Dan, I can delete you out of this chat. You know that, right? I can kick you right out.
I think that's what his goal is.
Okay. Make up a T-shirt.
Bro, is it time to visit the Bald Dome?
No, ask a stupid question first. I mean, another one, because you got a list, right?
Play sci-fi questions. So, if alien cats discovered the Earth, what would their first demand be?
I mean, it's got to be food, right? I mean,
well, if they discovered his Earth, they would just think, "Oh, look, a planetary litter box." Right?
Well, that's true. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. There's probably like some cardboard boxes out there somewhere too, and a couple other interesting things.
They would find the catnip.
Maybe some bugs, probably to chase around. I don't know. It's not all bad.
And I have one more for you. Which of your characters is most likely to inadvertently start a cult?
Ooh.
Nice.
Well, funny enough, I mean, I have a character that almost really does start a cult, and it's fairly inadvertent. So, I mean,
Okay.
I mean, I think definitely put Silas in that category, but no, definitely not on purpose. He's, you know, he doesn't seem like that kind of guy, but you know, people like him though.
Why'd you choose that the you know, the big corporate government entity or whatever would be a theocracy as opposed to something else?
Yeah. So the main reason is, well, I'll give a couple reasons. The overarching thing I thought was, you know, I wanted the world to be recognizable to the world that we live in, and the way I see our world now, right? You know, we're 2,000 years removed from most of the major religions that are known today on Earth, and they're still around, right? And they're still very much a part of people's daily lives. And I think I've always struggled a little bit with sort of the sci-fi trope where like everybody's living in, technology wonderland and everybody's atheist and nobody believes in anything. And I don't think I ever fell into that camp of thinking that that was realistic, really, especially based just on the world that we live in, right? Where, people believe all sorts of things and, they're very deep-seated beliefs. And, I wanted to carry that over into my stories. And the big thing is, though, because I think a lot of times people see religion in sci-fi and think, oh, this is going to be like, I know what that story is going to be about. And that very much is not what this is. I wanted to be a part of the world, but, it's not a criticism of religion in any way. It's meant to be, there's a key separation between what the characters believe and then, the government structures that exist. So it's sort of the, faith versus institution is more the issue than the beliefs themselves. So like in the book, in the first book, you see Silas is a really deeply religious character, and he's driven quite a bit by his personal faith and his beliefs to an extreme point almost. Meanwhile, you have Kaya, who doesn't seem to really believe in anything outside of what she can see with her own eyes. And it creates an interesting contrast, but one isn't meant to be good while the other one is bad. They're just two different things that exist.
Yeah.
And that was a big thing that I was going for. I wanted it to be representative of what I think the world is, and the world has a lot of gray. I don't think everything is so black and white.
Did you use a religion? Or did you just make up a new one?
I mean, I think it is 100% a fake, made up religion. It's not based in any substantive way in anything that we would know, but it's recognizable. I think, if you look at sort of the Abrahamic religions, it'll seem, familiar, but that's more just so because, that's, my background and I'm coming from. So, it just, so in college, I, studied a lot of medieval religious philosophy. So that's just sort of where my interest is, and it shows in the writing.
On purpose, you did that?
Yeah, I mean, well, so I was a philosophy major in undergrad, so much to the chagrin of my parents. But
I mean, that's two straight. You're a runner. You're philosophy. I mean, oh my goodness! At least your books are under 500 pages.
That's right. I mean, look, you got to keep those arguments like short and snappy. The pacing's fast. I like a good fast-paced story. So don't get too bogged down. It's not a crazy amount of exposition in there. Try to keep it very plot-driven, character-driven.
You need to give your parents a big round of thanks, because I told my kids, you can study whatever you want, but if it's not something you can get a job with, you're paying for it. So
yeah. Well, you know what?
I'll help you out, but only if you get a degree that leads to an actual employment.
Yeah. Well, we live and learn, right? I mean, the plan was always to go to law school, but I ended up not really wanting to do that. So ended up going a different direction instead.
You found you had ethics and morals. Well done.
Well,
all right, Mike, it's time. Unless you have another question, please.
I have one more question. Plotter or pantser, or somewhere in between?
Runner.
I think I probably fall more pantser, probably. I don't make big, complicated outlines. Usually I have an end in mind, I have a start in mind, and then I have some various points I want to get to. But the in between is usually filled in either on the fly or like, the day before kind of. So like, I'll go for a run today. I'll brainstorm the next like, chapter or scene or next few pages or whatever. I'll write it and then sort of rinse, repeat. And that tends to be a lot of how I produce things.
Okay.
So, no, sorry, Mike. This was normally the question that you would ask now. Son of a bitch. Never mind. Carry on.
Use your characters over plot.
Oh, yeah. Your characters ever do things that surprise you? And
Definitely. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and I think that's the beauty of it, right? Like if you don't really have a super strict outline, you kind of just start going through it. And I think especially now with the later books too, that I've been like sort of in their heads for a while, I think they surprise you even more because you get to a situation that you've written and you had an idea in mind of how it would go. And then you're there and you're like, wait a minute, they wouldn't do this. They would do this instead. And then you're like, oh, wow, that's like so much better. And then, it's pretty cool. It's fun when it all kind of comes together.
And you're like, but that blows what I was going to do next.
Yeah, 100%. And then you're like, you have that panic for like a few, for a while until you figure out like, well, now what do I do? Like, do I have to, you know what? I'm going to burn all the books. I give up on everything. I'm not going to finish the series anymore.
I'm gonna take up knitting and go home.
Right. And then eventually, you come back down and you figure it out. But
okay. So Adam, have you seen our show before?
I have watched it here. I don't think I know what's coming next though. I don't think I've seen this segment.
You'll find a way.
Not your characters, but we don't want you to give spoilers.
What was that? You're breaking up a little bit. Sorry.
We want to learn a little bit more about your characters without you giving us spoilers.
Okay.
So Mike is going to roll some dice poorly as he does, and he's going to put your one character of your choice into a situation in a different place, but all your world rules apply. Okay. And we will give you a potion, which it's like a magic potion that will do whatever it's supposed to do absolutely without fail, either to you who drinks it, or if you were to like throw it at whatever comes at you, it will work, but you don't know what it does until
it's a mystery potion.
Exactly. You got it at the Dollar General, and the label was off.
Oof, all right.
Yeah, but it tastes good, so there's that.
Okay.
So you get that going for you, which is nice. What's that?
What does it taste like?
Reese's peanut butter cup.
Interesting. Okay, but is it like thick or is it watery?
No, it's a liquid.
Okay, all right.
So, what is your favorite color?
Orange.
So it is an orange fizzy potion.
Nice. Okay.
Tastes like Crush.
So, which character are you putting into the bald dome?
Well, let's go with Silas.
Silas? Okay, well, Silas has been transported to a hidden valley inhabited by reclusive druids.
Just runs forward, gets the spice.
Reclusive what?
Druids.
Druids, okay.
Basically where I would be.
The worst kind of druid.
So he has a potion, but Ro is going to roll for this because he doesn't like when I roll.
Got it.
Okay, so he has an orange fizzy potion. Now this is where you get a choice. He can have a common item or he can have a weapon. If he has a common item, he will face a common animal. If he has a weapon, he will face a fantasy creature. And we used to make it like gladiatorial to the death, but it's your character, your story. You tell us what he would do, and it can go whatever ways Silas wants this to go.
I mean, he's taken a weapon 10 out of 10 times.
Okay, so
I like Silas.
The regular item was an 8-foot scythe, which he does not. Instead, he gets a dagger.
Oof, all right.
But
he's gonna have a rough night. I could tell already.
But he does not face the jaguar. Instead, he faces a swarm of giant poisonous spiders.
Oh man,
that's worth it, just so I don't have to hear you mispronounce jaguar again.
So Silas is in this. What was it? A hidden valley. So he goes through copse of trees. He turns to his left, and lo and behold, there are the poisonous spiders.
Oh,
they're jaguar and spider inspired.
On the ranch dressing plant.
He has his orange fizzy potion and a dagger. What does he do?
And now the potion does whatever he wants it to do.
No, the potion does whatever it does.
Okay.
You don't know. I know what it does, and we will inform you when you tell us what you do with it.
10.
He wouldn't drink it. He's not that kind of guy. He's very straight edge. So he's gonna throw the potion at the spiders for sure. I think.
How many spiders are there?
There are a swarm.
Okay, I'll do 5 to 10.
Why don't you
So-
roll for how many spiders there are?
Ooh, 15.
Okay.
How big are these spiders exactly?
They are 2 feet tall.
Okay.
Holy hell. It
He's
splashes.
cooking. I don't know.
You threw it really well, and it spread out, and it actually hit 14 of them. Yeah.
He's an
And
overachiever. That makes sense.
And now they are really, really fast.
Oh, that's terrible. All right.
They are probably moving at twice the speed of the one that did not get hit.
Okay.
Oh man. What kind of terrain do I have to work with here? Is there anything? Is there a cliff maybe
But,
nearby?
you know what? You're at such a disadvantage already. What kind of terrain do you
Or just
want?
keep taking a spike and then
Ooh,
go
like something very like a narrow gully, perhaps. That would be nice.
Valley, so there has to be like a river or stream or something in the center.
There you go.
So I can give you that.
He's looking for a choke point that he can try to hold.
Okay.
So does he try to outrun the spiders to this choke point?
I mean, I guess. I mean, what else can he do? I mean, he's not gonna lay there and die. I mean, come on.
Okay.
He's a strategy man. He's looking for a strategy that might work here.
So Ro,
Am I
I
overthinking this? I don't know. I don't know what this is supposed to be.
I rolled a 6 for his getting to the choke point.
You know what? Yes, that's a horrible roll. He makes it.
Yes.
So does he turn and face the spiders now? Does he say boo? What does he do?
Yeah. Now he's turning around. He's ready to face them down.
Okay.
Mano a
So
mano.
you're only looking at a few of the 15 spiders. Yeah, there's only a couple of them facing forward to you.
He's ready to throw down.
No, I want to kill him.
Throw down. You threw down like a mother.
Fuck.
Okay.
What the fuck, dude?
You take out the first one.
These are yours.
Okay. Just your natural dexterity takes over and
What's he doing?
you take it down.
Nice.
Yours.
Is this going to be your plan? Just a full frontal assault?
Yeah. I mean, well, yeah. I mean, I think so. We're going for it.
Okay. You want to roll the next one, Mike?
I
Anything
know
over a 15, let's say he does it.
a 2.
Oh,
Can't
You
let you
know-
roll dice.
oh no.
Yeah. Well, you see, as you're laying on the ground after slipping and falling, you notice
Slipping
that
and falling. My God.
Nice.
you rolled a 2. Have you played D&D?
I am. I'm a DM actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
We have a weekly game.
Then I hope you can appreciate what happens
No,
next.
stop
I'm
taking
I'm here for it. What do we got?
So you found yourself in this nice little gully, but of course these are spiders.
Right.
So the ones that aren't in front of you are like covering up and putting webbing over the top of you and behind you.
Can I get
Do you have a cunning plan of any kind?
He has a dagger.
Otherwise, Silas is kind of screwed.
I mean, what else do I have but the dagger? Nothing.
I
What
don't
else do
know.
I have at my disposal here?
What do you have? What does he have at his disposal? This is your world rules.
I mean, well, so he's armored during all this, probably,
Sure.
but he doesn't have his own weapons, right? That's what you're saying. He only has the dagger.
Yeah, a little horrible dagger.
Well, I mean, I think with his armor, he'd be able to push through the spider horde and make it back out.
Frequently.
Okay.
I mean,
2 foot.
He's-
Okay, yeah, sure.
he's charging. I mean, look, they have spindly legs, right? I mean, they're not going to be able to stop him totally.
All right. Well, I tell you what. Anything over a 10 and you make it.
All right.
Do you want me to roll?
No, I do not want you to roll. And more to the point, I don't think Adam wants you to roll. All right, you 17. You make it out handily.
Nice.
What's he making it out to, Mike?
Search it once.
He's making it out to the stream that is running down the center of the valley.
Oh, okay.
which doesn't have trees on the banks for some reason, so that spiders can't get over top of him.
Okay. All right.
Nice. All right.
So we're just going to say that he survives this nonsense.
Nice.
Okay. You build a fire, something. I don't know.
It's making a campsite. Got it.
We don't want to kill your guy.
I mean,
We've done it before, but we don't want to.
well, I mean, look, the dice will what they will. I mean,
Yeah, Mike.
as long as you're not just railroading me into it, then it's okay. But
Mike needs to throw his dice away. I've never seen someone roll so many twos.
I rarely hit double digits when I roll the 20-sided die. No one wants me in their party.
God, no. You're useful for this, though. It actually works pretty well for this. All right, so hold up your books one more time, please, Adam.
yeah, you got it.
Let's go.
Hold them right up there. Ashen Dawn is your first one that came
Nope,
out.
this one, Vermilion Flames is number 1.
Sorry. Okay,
And then
which
Ashen
came out
Dawn is number
February 24, and Ashen Dawn came out in October.
24. Yeah.
So both of these books are less than a year old.
Yep.
And your next one is in March,
Yep. And that's going to be called Iceborne.
Iceborne, and a standalone, but in the same world. So that's cool. And then before the year is out, the third part of your quadrology.
Should be out as well. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And
All right.
who is in Iceborne? Is it Silas or other characters?
So it's a new character you meet in Ashen Dawn. Actually, it's a minor character in Ashen Dawn, but there are some familiar faces too from the main series as well.
And somebody asked a long time ago, and we never got around to it. Who do you use to print your books?
So these in particular are the dust jacket versions, which I get through Ingram Sparks for the hardcovers, and then everything else pretty much I do through KDP through Amazon.
What's under the dust jacket?
It's just just plain. It's not not special. Yeah.
Oh, just blank. Okay.
Yeah, just plain.
Didn't print anything on it. No.
No.
You like the dust jacket look, or?
I mean, I do. To me, it's like just the classic book look, But also the big thing was the full cover art, the full, without the any typing on the back or anything. Yeah.
Oh, it keeps blank.
Yeah, your artist did a nice job.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I mean, it's turned out great. Somehow he was able to turn like my crazy ideas into something that actually looked right. So
The best ones do. And you are still alive in Spacebow.
I am, as far as I know. Yeah, I'm on, I think the last team that hasn't really posted much, so I don't know where we stand really, but
Space Girls.
yes.
Okay, and just for fun, I'll throw it out there. If I ever get a book with a dust jacket, the first thing I do is take the jacket off and throw it away.
It's all right. I sell copies that do not have the dust jacket, so you don't need to get this one.
Okay. I just, it always gets in the way when I read, so I always take it off, and then I'm like, well, I don't care. I just want to read the book, so then I just throw it away.
But you can use it as a bookmark.
It's like
Or you could use a bookmark as a bookmark.
Philistine.
thanks, Gavin.
We
Any-
believe it or not, Adam.
What was
Anything
that?
else? Yeah, we didn't catch that. You were
It's okay. Go on. Go on.
Flashed the shit out of me.
you were telegraphing again. Anything else you'd like to add, Adam?
No, I mean, thank you guys for having me on. This was a lot of fun.
Go buy his book. Go buy all his books.
Definitely, yeah, buy all of them, please.
His website has been scrolling down the bottom there for the last 45 minutes. If you haven't caught that,
And they're on Kindle Unlimited too, so if you're on there, you
Awesome.
can
So you
read
can
them
get
that way.
for free.
Yeah, you can read them for free.
And the audiobook
And the
is
audio,
very, very good.
yeah, fantastic.
All right. Well, thank you all for showing up. Mike and I are back again on Tuesday at 7. Well, we will be joined by John and Leanne Yarrow. What's their deal, Mike?
Husband and wife author team, and they're friends of Sebastian Carlyle's. I don't know much else.
Okay. That is Tuesday the 11th, 7 p.m. And y'all have a good weekend. Thanks for joining.
Thanks, guys. See you later.